And we're recording. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Zoom program offered through the Hobbs Community Center. So excited today to have the folks from Enterprise Bank and the Pelham Police Department joining us this morning to present some really important information on financial exploitation and how to protect yourself from scams and some really better, safe banking practices. So I'm going to turn it over now to our folks over at the Enterprise Bank. I believe you're going to be starting. I believe is it Prima?
Karen's going to actually start.
I'm going to start.
All right.
So good morning, everybody, and welcome. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. My name is Karen Fournier, and I am the branch relationship manager of the Enterprise Bank here in Pelham. I also have with me today is Prima Nagathan. She is from Enterprise Bank Security Department. And we have Allison, Officer Allison Caprino, that everybody knows. So welcome, everyone. So I'm sure you can all agree that we are living in some crazy times right now. Life has changed as we know it, and we are all trying to understand and live with the new norm. This is such uncharted territory for everyone. I honestly can say that my emotions are running high, and I'm sure that everybody else's is as well. Fear and anxiety of the unknown can be so difficult to manage. These emotions can cause us to be a little bit more vulnerable, and it can be, you know, what criminals are banking on, no pun intended, but they're going after not only seniors, but everybody. We have so many different schemes that are taking place here at the bank. And Allison and Prima will actually be going over some specifics, but I wanted all of you to know that at Enterprise Bank, we have some safeties in place to try to help. The employees here in this branch have been trained to identify unusual behavior in transactions in hope of preventing some of these situations. My staff in Pelham are more than happy to answer any questions at all that you may have. So feel free to call us anytime. I'm gonna give you 2 direct lines that come right into the branch. You don't have to go through the call center. But remember, if something does not feel right, you need to slow down, call us and ask questions. Don't ever be afraid to ask questions, because that is how you're going to have a safety in front of these awful criminals that are out there right now. So the phone numbers to the branch, the direct line is 978-596-2279, as well as 603-635-2774. Again, those come right into the branch. You do not have to go through our call center, and any one of us will help you. Even if you're not a customer, please feel free to call, okay? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Prima Nagathan from the Security Department at Enterprise Bank, and she is going to go over some fun stuff.
Thank you, Karen. I just wanted to, give a big shout out to the Pelham Senior Center, the Hobbs Community Center. Sarah, I was so excited and thrilled when you reached out to us. I know we've been talking about this since the beginning of the year. I have partnered with Karen on doing, every year we try to do some community outreach efforts, especially targeting elder exploitation, financial exploitation. So thank you for welcoming me this morning into your homes virtually. It is great to meet so many of you, and I hope we can continue to meet as we have more of this conversation. I really want to start with sharing a story, something that just happened to us last week as I was working with one of our customers. She is 71 years old. And what we had found in working with our customers, and this is something that Karen will attest to, is we spend a lot of time not just focusing on our transactions with our customers, but we spend a lot of time getting to know our customers. One, because when you entrust us with your finances and your money, we have a responsibility to make sure that we protect that. But also getting to know you helps us from a fraud standpoint to be able to say, oh, Mrs. Smith is here to do a transaction, which is not the norm. And Karen and her team they do a wonderful job being able to know what is the norm for a customer. So they are more experienced in sort of detecting out of the norm transactions, which really is a big deterrent for us in trying to help our customers. So going back to my example with my customer that I was working on, she had reached out to the bank. She's a longtime customer of the bank, and over the years, she had a situation. It was more of a personal situation where her daughter was for many years was trying to help her with the finances, and things just went wrong with the situation, with the personal family history. It got to the point where the daughter was actually um, not really helping her mom with her finances. She was actually causing more damage. She was going into her home and causing damages in the home. She had access to her banking information. Her mom had shared everything with her many years ago when things were good. Unfortunately, things had gone bad since then, but the daughter had access to the mom's information. There was not only some form of physical abuse and neglect, but there were certainly clear signs of financial exploitation, where the daughter was having access to the mom's account and was withdrawing funds. When I spoke to my customer last week, we had a very lengthy conversation because I really wanted to know what was going on. It was very clear that this had been happening for many years. And then I said, to my customer, I said, how come you're calling us now? So much happened over the years. Why didn't you call us? And something that she said that really stuck with me was, she said, I didn't know I could do anything about it. She just thought this was part of life and this is what happens. And she thought to a certain extent that it was okay for her daughter to behave the way she was, not realizing that there are resources, there is help, and that knowing that when someone is exploiting, whether it's a family member or scammers, and we'll get a lot into this today, is that it is not allowed, it's illegal. Nobody can access your funds without your authorization. So I definitely want to put this out there that elder exploitation is unlawful, and there is a lot of awareness within the banks to be more quick in acting on it, reporting it, and you are in the best position to really say, hey, something is not right, someone has access to my account, or we have Officer Allison who's online with us too, and she will share a lot more of what is going on within your town in Pelham. So with that said, very quickly, I want to talk about our definition of elder exploitation. It is basically, when someone is having access to your money, to your personal assets for their own benefit. It is not for your benefit. And oftentimes this is done either with or without the senior person's consent, and depriving them of the financial resources for their own needs. And there are, quick few statistics that I think is interesting. When you talk about scams, it really can happen to anybody, any gender, any age. I have worked with customers who are young students. I have worked with professionals. We have worked with businesses that fall victim to scams. So really, targets really can range in age, but certainly our senior citizens become a little bit more of an easy target. And I think some of the reasons are, if you think about it, it's quite common than we think. Hopefully folks who are on the Zoom call today, I don't know how many of you may have experienced some form of scam or exploitation, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk a little bit and maybe have you share some of your stories. But 1 in 10 Americans are age 60 plus have experienced some form of elder abuse. And over 50%, so individuals over the age of 50 control about 70% of the nation's wealth. So our nation's wealth is, in the hands of all of you who are here today. And what is pretty, I think, significant here is the annual loss resulting from elder fraud is over $36 billion. This is nationwide numbers. They are a little outdated. They're a couple years old. They don't usually throw out a lot of new statistics very quickly, but I think this gives us a pretty good idea of why this conversation is important. And I really want to encourage everyone that's on the call today to share this video that Sarah is recording for us, because the awareness is needed. I have been talking about this for many years, but I still think there's a lot more that we can do together. It really is a community effort, and we can certainly need to put a stop to this. So at this point, I am going to ask Officer Allison Caprigno to take over and maybe talk to us about what we are seeing in the town of Pelham with elder financial exploitation.
All righty. Good morning, everybody. Ooh, I changed my screen. Sorry, I don't know what I did, but I see myself large now. So again, I'm Officer Allison Caprino. Here at the police department, we see a lot of phone scams lately. In the last 2 years or so, increased. Age range, stories change. Biggest things that we've seen a lot of is the National Grid, the Liberty Utilities calling you to say you haven't paid your bill. Yeah, again, this is where Karen says slow down. Listen to what they're saying. Sometimes they'll say they're calling from National Grid. If you sit there and think for a minute, you have Liberty Utilities. You don't have National Grid, but they get you in that quick minute to think, oh, I haven't paid my utility bill. So again, it's listening to the details, thinking about it, and again, just thinking about the whole situation and not acting first. If they try to tell you you haven't paid your bill, say, okay, I'll call. Don't get a phone number for them. Go back to your bill, go to online, get a phone number. These scammers are very, very skilled. They clone their caller ID, so it looks like it says Liberty Utilities on it. Again, there's just, it's all made up, it's all fake. It's amazing what they can do. So again, first, slow down, like Karen said, listen to what they're saying, and then you might be able to just tell right away, they're saying National Grid, I have Liberty Utilities. Just hang up the phone. That's the best part about these phone scams. You have the power to just hang up the phone. The same thing with the IRS scam, where they're saying they haven't paid your taxes. They're saying that we're going to come to your house and arrest you because of your taxes. Let's be serious here. At no point are we going to come arrest anybody for taxes. That's a civil issue, has nothing to do with criminal. Police department handles criminal matters, crimes. So no officer is coming to your door. If an officer does come to your door, it's not going to be from the Pelham Police Department. It's going to be someone made up. Call the police department and say there's a fake police officer at our house, because we did have one person in the last 2 years that had someone show up at their house. And they took off and were not there when we got there. But again, the IRS scam is just a scam. If you haven't paid your taxes, an officer is not going to come to your house. So again, anyone says that they're going to come to your house, just keep your door locked. I mean, you should be keeping your door locked anyways. We're friendly Pelham, but lock your doors, be safe. And if any suspicious activity, any weird people around, call us. We'll come check them out. Might be a little bit out of the realm for your age group, not trying to poke fun here, but there's the dating and picture scam. People are using dating sites nowadays. They think they've met the one. They exchange some pictures. Then these people say, if you don't give me $100, $500, $1,000, they just pick their thing. They say they're gonna send that picture of you to your boss, your friends, your family, you name it, they say it, so they get money out of you. So again, just be wary if you're on any of these dating sites. Some people, these aren't really real. They're not really there looking for dates. They're looking for money, and they will try to scam you again. And they, again, try to use stuff against you, such as pictures or stuff that you have said. There's also, again, people that are trying to date you and are in another state, and they say, oh, can you just help me with this? And again, be wary of anyone you're sending money to. Make sure you actually know them. And all these scams, if they tell you to go get a money card or go to Rite Aid and get a gift card or any of those things, that's not how you pay your taxes. Again, another red flag that you should be thinking about, why would I pay my taxes with a Rite Aid card? And again, lucky for here in Pelham, a lot of the people at Rite Aid and Walgreens, they also are very trained on that behavior and saying, what do you need those gift cards for? You know, so again, don't be offended if they're asking a lot of questions. Again, they're looking out for you, and again, they're seeing people be scammed and they want to prevent it. So a new-ish scam on the phone is they call and say your grandson, your granddaughter is in trouble. They usually even have a name. Again, these scammers are very skilled at doing some research. Not only do they, again, clone the phone number so it looks like so-and-so is calling you, but they'll sometimes know your grandchild's name or a relative's name, and they'll say, oh, they're in jail. I need you to send some money to bail them out. And sometimes they'll even have, a voice on the other end. Again, it's not actually going to be your relative, but in the mindset, you're thinking, oh, that could be them. Maybe they sound a little different. So again, be wary of any of those scams. Again, obviously, if someone's saying it's your grandchild in need, hang up and call someone that, can verify that. Again, the biggest thing when you're verifying all this, call people use phone numbers you find online. Don't get a phone number from these scammers, because again, they have numbers that you can call back that's going to go right to them. And of course, they're going to tell you the same information. Again, the newest scam that we saw just last week, which was a little scary, it's more of a target for your family members, but something to keep in mind. We had an elderly couple in town here. They live in town. Their son lives in Connecticut. And the son got a phone call at about 7 o'clock in the morning saying that they had his parents pretty much held hostage and that they were beating him up. And you could hear an elderly lady screaming in the background. And they demanded $500 be wired to them so they would set the parents free. So again, we had an officer go to the house. They were in bed sleeping. They had no idea anything was wrong. But in Connecticut, their son had already sent $500 to stop what was going on. So again, something to think about, just be wary about. Again, it seems kind of silly to have some kind of code word with your family, but again, with all these scams and everything, and wanting to make sure it's so-and-so on the phone, it's not a bad idea these days. Again, if you're not quite sure it's their voice, you're not sure, make up some family code word that you can have that that that's really them, and that someone else isn't going to know. Because again, these scammers, as I said, are very, very skilled. Like I said, they get the phone number to look right. But when you go to call them back, sometimes you get to these call centers that it just go and go and go. But sometimes you get the exact same person back, because we have called them back ourselves, and we do like to give them a hard time and waste their time. But biggest thing, like Karen says, that is very important: slow down, think about what's being said, think about what they're asking for, and then think about who your provider is, if it's utilities or whatnot. And again, and backtrack, call the bank, go to the bank, come here. You can call here, you can come here. We'll all offer any help we can on deciphering, if this is real or if it's not. But before you send any money or go to any stores and get any gift cards or anything like that, definitely check in with the resources available for you. And again, obviously Sarah is another resource that can tell you, I don't think that's right, but you have a lot of people you can reach out to. And obviously, don't be embarrassed. Don't worry about it. We'd rather make sure nothing bad happens, and we verify what's what. But those are just a few of the popular ones we're seeing. Again, there's obviously lots of them out there, between email and I don't know if many people on here, Facebook or anything like that. But again, with all those, emails and messages, a lot of people come in saying, I think this is a fraudulent email. Again, the thing with email, you can just click delete. There's nothing saying you have to answer it. There's nothing saying you have to dig in. We get lots of junk email every single day. You don't have to answer or open up everything that comes to you. So just remember that. And again, obviously, if it's something important, such as the IRS really wanting to know your taxes, they're not going to send you an email. They're going to send you regular mail correspondence and do things the way they've always done it. So again, be wary of anything that's, emailed to you. You don't want to be clicking on links. You don't want to be paying stuff online like that. You never know where it's going to go. I mean, it's something simple as Verizon. The other day I was with our records clerk, and I was with her, and we were talking about scams and this and that, and her phone lit up, and her name is Brenda Rizzo. Her caller ID said that Brenda Rizzo was calling her. And she was like, that's weird. It says, I'm calling myself. And she picks it up, and they said, oh, you haven't paid your bill. You need to pay this and that. And she started hitting numbers. And I looked at her and I said, what are you doing? And she said, well, they said I haven't paid my bill. And I said, you have paid your bill. I said, but why would yourself be calling yourself? I said, it doesn't even make any sense. The caller ID doesn't look right. But again, in the heat of the moment, even though she's in a police department and works for one and is well aware of these scams, she was starting to hit buttons and she was going to give them money. And I'm like, hang up that phone. So again, biggest thing is don't get caught up in the heat of the moment. Slow it down, think about it, reach out for help to all the different avenues between the police department, Sarah, the bank. Again, anything that you can think of, think before you send the money. And that's what I have for now.
Thank you, Allison. Just a couple other things I wanted to add to all the different variety of scams that Officer Allison just talked about is the COVID-related scams. As to what we have seen from the bank side of things working with our customers is, oftentimes scammers will always look for an incident or something that's happening in a town or nationwide. They jump on it and they take advantage of that because everybody's focused on it. So of course, right now is COVID-19. I mean, Karen said our lives have changed because of this. Well, what we are seeing is emails, letters, maybe on Facebook or other social media sites that you might be on, folks talking about, oh, there's a cure for COVID, there's medications available, or there's testing available that you can do at home. Oftentimes they're all fraudulent, they're fictitious, they're scammers. So please be careful, and again, you can always call your bank. You can call your local police department, town of Pelham. You guys are so lucky to live in such a wonderful town that has a great senior center, a great police department. So you can always call. A lot of times you can even do a quick Google search and, sort of look things up. So COVID-related scam, I think, please be aware of that because that's certainly something that we are hearing a lot of. And also sort of related to the COVID-19 situation, we're seeing a lot of unemployment fraud, and it's happening in two different ways. We're finding individuals who are receiving a letter from the unemployment department saying that they have filed for unemployment. A lot of cases, yes, you may have filed it for yourself, but we're finding people who are retired, people who are currently with a job are receiving notifications saying that they have filed for unemployment. Turns out it is your information that was somewhere, somehow compromised over the years of breach that have happened. And they're scammers, the bad guys have your information and they are fraudulently filing unemployment claims in your name. So if you are receiving this notification, please make sure there is a number that they will provide you to contact that you will need to notify. And also let your bank know, because more than likely that means that your information, your personal information has been compromised. So be aware of that. And on the other side of the unemployment fraud, what we are seeing is a result of some of the scams that Officer Allison talked about is, we found quite a few cases where folks who were online finding friendship, relationship, dating, it kind of really has stemmed from an online dating type of a situation where the boyfriend or the girlfriend is telling the person, the customer, that, oh, I just need to, send my retirement fund through you. There's a claim that's coming through. I'm having a problem with my bank. Can I please use your bank to send the money, and I will just have you, keep some of it. They make different stories enough to convince the person to give them their account information. And we are finding that unemployment claims belonging to people all over the United States are coming into a person's account. It does not belong to that person. And these are typically enabled by the fraudsters, the scammers, who are convincing, whether it's our customers or members of the community, to provide their online information, their banking information. So just be aware of those types of claims. If you're receiving calls, if you have someone asking you to do something, you really should be very, very careful and should really think before you provide your personal information, even to your family members. They shouldn't be asking you for your name, your password, things of that nature, which is very, very, very personal to you and your banking. So please, if you are in a situation where a family member needs access to your accounts, you really need to consult with your attorney or some financial advisors to understand if they need to be on your accounts before you just share your passwords. So I will now talk about, we talked about different types of scams, right? The stories are different, whether it is the IRS, your electric company, or Social Security. We saw Social Security office calling people saying, oh, there is some problem with your Social Security. Turns out it was not the Social Security office. It was, again, the scammers. The stories can be different. But the key is, what do the scammers really want? When should you be alarmed when someone is asking you for your information? Scammers want your money. and they want your personal information. It is very, very valuable. There is online black markets where our information is being sold for just a few $100. My social security number, my date of birth, my account numbers, my debit card and my PIN numbers, if they have been somehow compromised, again, like I said, through all the compromises that have happened, Equifax got compromised recently. So more than likely our information is out there and is being sold to fraudsters for just a few $100. So if someone's asking you to, send them cash or send them money orders, wire transfers, gift cards, the new trend is PayPal, Cash Apps. That's how people are sending money to the fraudsters. And I think they're going more towards the electronic route because when banks are becoming very aware of elder exploitation. So we will ask our customers questions. Karen and her team, they're fantastic. They want to know why a customer is either withdrawing a large sum of money or they're making some deposits, money orders are being deposited. They will ask you questions. And they're doing that to really try and help you. Your bank, you'll find that with your banks too. So I think they're going more towards electronic route because now the banks don't see it. The stores where you're going to wire the money or using money orders or gift cards, they're not going to see it. So we're finding that, again, the newer trend is Bitcoins. If you've heard of Bitcoins, this is a whole new way of having cash value. Folks are being asked to invest in Bitcoin companies. There is a legitimate side of Bitcoins, but for the most part, what we're seeing is it is a result of scams. Again, sending money through Bitcoins. Again, they're trying to launder money through different methods. So now your personal information, what is your personal information that is worth a lot for the scammers? And you will have to think before you give this out is your account numbers to your bank, your passwords, your debit card information, your credit card information, especially the CVV code that's on the back of your credit card. And sometimes these subscriptions, you go online and they talk to you about, oh, you can get a 1-year free subscription to either a publication or maybe some type of a service. Initially it's free for a few months, but what you don't realize is you automatically get enrolled into something that you end up paying. So be aware of things that are, again, sounding like they're free, but you find that you're getting charged. And also information on social media. A lot of us are online these days, whether it's social, whether it's Facebook or multiple methods. Think about what information you are putting on social media, because a lot of these pages are somewhat public. So you may want to look at how you are putting your Facebook out there, your privacy controls, that there might be information. When Officer Allison talked about the grandparent scam, a lot of times they know the names of your grandkids. That's probably because there was a picture online on a social media page with you and your grandkids, and there's names on it. So it's very, very easy if you kind of poke around. One of the things I'd encourage for you to do is Google your name and see what comes up with your name or your family members' names. That might also help you to be like, oh, there's this picture on Facebook, maybe I should make it private. So something I'd like for you to encourage for you to look out and see what is out there in the public forum in your name. Reviewing your bank statements. Your bank will send you a monthly statement, or you may have opted for an online electronic version of your statement. Please take a look at that. Look to the transactions. I had one case where a customer had seen multiple small dollar transactions. They were as low as 2 cents. There was a 2-cent transaction one month, another 2-cent transaction another month. Initially, the customer didn't really think, they thought maybe it's like an interest or something from somewhere. It's 2 cents, no big deal. Didn't really pay too much attention to it. But then they started to see some other much high dollar transaction. And when they contacted us, what we had found that is the scammers had got hold of her information, her debit card information, and they were processing small dollar transactions just to see if it's a valid account. Will the customer notice it? So regardless of the amount, if there's a transaction that you don't recognize, please call your bank. And timing is of the essence. So when there's a transaction that's unauthorized, whether it's the form of a check or an ACH payment, timing is of the essence. Different transactions have different time frames. So the sooner you can let the bank know, there might be a better chance of us either returning it or denying those payments. So please keep that in mind. Other things you can do to deter fraud is annual credit report. At this point, it's really free. You can access your credit report. And towards the end of this presentation, there is a website that you can click and request for your annual credit report. So I highly encourage you to take a look at it and see, especially with all the compromise that are happening. I think it is more important than ever for us to look through our credit report to see if there's something that you don't recognize and you need to question. Also talk to your bank about some of the services that they can provide to you that will help deter fraud. And it's as simple as direct deposit and online bill pay. Now you might be wondering, how does this help fraud? Well, direct deposit, if you are filing for your tax returns or you have your benefit check, your retirement fund that comes through, if you are receiving a check in the mail every month, maybe a good option is to look to sign up for direct deposit. So the money goes directly into your account and now you have access to it. You can go to your bank or your ATM to withdraw those funds. And that eliminates the whole physical check sitting in your mailbox. We are seeing a huge spike in mail theft in just all communities. People are driving through people's neighborhoods or breaking through mailboxes and just looking through envelopes that have checks. Once they receive that check, they can alter it, they can wash it, they do all funky things to the checks, and then they can write their name over it and try to transact it. A direct deposit is a great tool. Your money is in the account a lot faster than waiting for a check. It saves you a trip to the bank and it's there. So, and most of the banks do offer it free of charge. So please look into your banks and see what they can offer for direct deposits. And also some of the bills that you pay on a regular basis, your phone bill, your cable bill, your rent. See if there is an option to set up a direct payment. So it's again, all happening electronically. It's certainly a lot more secure. Never provide your password or your PIN. And this is something that I really want to stress is even your bank will never ask you for your password or your PIN. There's no reason for us to do that. If you call the bank or if we call you, yes, we will need to verify some information because we are required to know that we are speaking to our customers. So we might verify some of your security questions, your password, not your passwords, but your social and date of birth and things of that nature. But we will never ask you for your password or your PIN under any circumstances. So please be aware. And if it's your bank calling you or your credit card company calling you and saying, oh, there's a problem with your account, we need you to provide the account information. A lot of times the scammers will get you that way. Always hang up the phone and say, you know what, if there's a problem, I'm going to call my bank. Pick up your bank statement, pick up your debit card. Your bank's phone number is right on that bank statement and the debit card. Call the bank and say, hey, I just received a call from my bank. Was that you guys? What's going on? Tell me about it. So you should initiate that call to verify what is going on, especially anything to do with your finances, your bills. Call that service provider, call your bank directly on the number that you have with you, not the number that the person on the phone is providing you, because more than likely it is again a phony phone number and they can pretend to be that service provider or that bank. One of the things is we find a lot of our elderly customers, as things are changing through their lives, they may want to look at adding their son, their daughter, or a caregiver, not necessarily a caregiver, but usually a family member as a POA. Maybe they have health restrictions that might keep them from coming to the bank. I always get a little bit concerned with that. I think, this is something that you have to consult with your attorney and see if that's a good idea. And also knowing what authority the POA can have. So just a word of caution there, think through, how much access this family member that you are looking to give the power of attorney, and that kind of really goes into the legal side of things, but certainly be aware of that is once you give the person a full power of attorney, then they have a lot of ability to really do the transaction on your behalf. So certainly be aware of that and give some serious consideration to that. And your local police department, call them if you have fallen victim to a scam, whether you have lost money or not, the person is calling you all the time. A lot of times for someone to commit fraud through a scam, they are calling you, staying on the phone with you, they're building a rapport, right? They get to know you, they get to know your family members, and then they'll start to talk about, oh, I have the situation, I need to come to the United States. Sometimes it might be overseas. They talk about they're in the military, maybe they're working overseas and they just need to come back to the country. I had one customer who thought her boyfriend was in the military and was currently posted in Nigeria. and there was some issues with his immigration. He was trying to get back to the country so he can now come and meet my customer, and they wanted to be together in the future. And he had convinced her to send money to Nigeria. Unfortunately, all of that was a scam. And she just wouldn't believe it because she said, well, but he sent me teddy bears, he sent me flowers. Well, guess what? He has compromised somebody's credit card and is sending you all these flowers and everything just to get to try and gain your trust. So your local police department is really a very, very good resource to you. If something you're falling victim to that, they're calling you constantly, please report that. Unless you report it, we really can't do anything about it. There's one thing about the handyman scam, especially we find that around the summer months, as folks are coming to do your yard work, maybe fix your roof. Please be careful as they're coming into your homes. Maybe you're getting a paint job done in the house. They have access to your house. You're not always going to be in the room that they are in. You walk away, you're in the kitchen. Now they will, if there are vendors that are not trusted, contractors, they might be folks who give you a good deal and they say, we'll do the paint job for cash. And next thing you know, they're going through your stuff, maybe your medicine cabinets, maybe your checkbooks. Again, make sure you know where your information is being kept, where your checkbooks are being kept, your bank statements. We don't want it to get in the wrong hands. Another thing too, a prevention method is when you get mail, look through your mail. There might be bank statements, from your investment firms, from your banks, maybe, credit card applications. Look and see what information is on that. If it has a social security number, your bank account information, again, personal information that we talked about. Please make sure that you shred it. Don't just rip it off and throw it in the mail. There are dumpster divers, people who go through people's mail to see what's in there that's of value to them. I know Pelham Branch occasionally will have shred days, and we do post the shred days in our on our Facebook page. I know towns sometimes have shred days that you can take advantage of, but certainly consider a shredder, a small shredder from a local, like a Staples or Walmart. You can buy one and shred that mail. It's extremely important that we do that. Here are some resources that I talked about. And again, this slide will be available to you through the recorded version, so you can take a look at it. Is the annual credit report. There's also a lot more information. We talked quite a bit about, Allison covered a lot of different scams that Pelham is seeing, but there are a ton more certainly. And there is, if you're interested in sharing this link with somebody else, or if you'd like to take a look at it yourself, you can certainly check out these links. The town of, the Pelham Police Department also has a great crime prevention tips, and I saw that and I thought it was a great personal safety tips that I think you should definitely check out as well. And before we, just wrap this up, I wanted to really open up for questions. Anybody has any questions for any one of us, or would like to share something that they experienced? If you have a question, you can unmute yourself and.
I have a question on that annual credit report. Is it .com?
The annual credit report, yeah, you can go to annualcreditreport.com.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It disappeared too fast. Thank you.
Has anybody experienced anything on the phone? Did someone call you? Lottery scams?
I had a call from Publishing Clearinghouse, they claimed, and they said that I had won something, and they started talking to me, and they asked, they verified my name and my phone number, the whole thing. I didn't give out any, other than a phone number, I didn't give out any other information. And then he got into the thing where, well, in order for us to send you money, what you have to do is you have to go to Wells Fargo. And at that point, I said, you know what? I'm not interested, and don't call me again. And I hung up.
Good for you.
Once I heard the Wells Fargo, I knew that they wanted me to send them money, to get money. So I hung up.
And that's great. That's exactly right. Unfortunately, we have had customers who believe that, oh, I'm going to win the $1 million. I just have to send them $8,000 fee so that I don't have to pay taxes. So I, tell my customers, if you'd rather pay taxes, you probably would have gotten more money back. Here they're spending money over and over again. So good for you, Paula, for really immediately you knew that I don't have to give money to win money. That doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So one of the things that I've seen on email, I see a lot of what look like legit emails. Particularly, I get them from Amazon probably every 3 weeks that look like an Amazon email that says they've locked my account because they've seen some suspicious account activity. And I mean, I've gone back on Amazon, it looks perfectly fine. But then one of the things I notice is like the email address doesn't look quite right. It does say like Amazon, it will say like Amazon something, but it's always weird. And I mean, I think those are people can become easily like mixed up or confused or scammed by those because you think they're real because they have they look like the real logo and all the yeah. So
yeah, that's true. And those are what we call spoofed emails. It can also look like it can come from a friend that you know, and then you click the link and you're like, oh my gosh, there was at one point we would see people receiving emails from what appears to be their friend, and they say, oh, I was on vacation in the Bahamas, I'm stranded, I lost all my stuff, and I need to get back, and people would be sending them money through wire. Of course, the friend is very much local. But yeah, Amazon is a good one, especially, we all, especially in this pandemic, we've all been buying stuff online. And if you see that and you're like, oh my gosh, my account's locked, let me click it and fix it. But it's not from Amazon. So again, when you see something like that, that's a good point, Sarah.
I don't know if there are any, or if you guys have seen any like political, because now we're coming into this big political season. Any political scams out there that we've heard of or aware of? I don't know if there are. I mean, I haven't, but I didn't know if there was anything that's with the big presidential election coming up. I'm wondering if we ever see any of that stuff.
We have not seen anything, Allison. I don't know.
I haven't seen anything either.
No, nothing yet. I mean, again, doesn't mean it's not coming.
Right.
Okay.
But I do want to talk a little bit about what I have seen at this branch recently. And what it is we had one younger customer that during this COVID situation didn't have a job. And he had applied through numerous online different, I don't even know the websites that you can use, but he was monster.com, all of the different online applications. And he received an offer for an interview to working with computers online. He could do it right from home. They were mailing him a check for money to purchase a computer. So he had to purchase the computer from them. They just couldn't mail the computer to them. It was very confusing, but he thought it was legit. He got a $5,000 check, bought a computer from this company. Of course, the check was deposited into his account. He then paid for the computer out of his account. The check was no good and he never got a computer. It was fraud all the way around. So it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm seeing a lot of checks coming in that someone may be selling something online and someone says, oh, I mailed you the check by the wrong amount. It's going to be, $3,000 over. Please just send me back the $3,000. Well, you send it back before the check clears. Now you're out all that money. If it doesn't feel right, please, please, please think. Stop and think. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Rely on your gut. It's going to be right in your gut.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think we can't all hear that enough sometimes. And we question ourselves and double question ourselves. And, oh, well, am I being over suspicious? Especially when it comes to money.
Right.
Yeah. Anne, did you have a question?
Yes, I'm looking at the information here with the phone numbers. Karen,
Yeah, it looks like my phone number got put in there incorrectly. So it's,
Let me fix that. I'm sorry. I will fix it and I'll send it to Sarah so she can post the updated one.
okay. So there are 2 direct lines, like I said. One of them is a 978 number. So it's 978-596-2279. And then there is a 603 number. It's 603-635-2774. Both of those ring directly into the branch.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
You're welcome.
Information.
So do we have any other questions before we wrap up?
I don't know if this is something that that can be answered, but I get a call constantly at all different times of the day, sometimes up until 9 o'clock at night. And it's from, I think it's from the National Republican Committee, whatever, it's NRCC. And they call constantly. Is there any way that I can stop that from them calling me? Because I'm really getting tired of these phone calls, especially when I get them late at night.
Is it on a landline or is it on a cell
It's on
phone?
my landline.
You could probably call your phone company and they can block the number.
All right.
Again, with the world of cell phones and smartphones, we can do it right from your phone generally. But on a
Right.
landline, you have to contact the phone company, just take down the number, and they should be able to block that for you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Do you know, does the do not call registry, it used to be a big thing. Is that still a thing?
Mm.
Does anyone know if that's still a thing?
I think it does to a certain extent. From what I had heard was that you have to register every year because there's just new phone numbers coming out. I have a cell phone, so I usually try to block my numbers on my cell phone device. But I think, like Allison said, reaching out to your phone provider probably is more effective. But I still do it. I still put my cell phone on the do not call.gov and just register it. It does help reduce some of the marketing calls and those phony calls.
Okay.
I think that's true, but I think it doesn't affect political calls. So I think you can still get political calls.
Right.
I do believe.
Yeah. Any other questions or anybody else want to chime in before we end our session today? No? Well, I want to thank you so much, Prima, Karen, Allison, for joining us. This has been extremely helpful and very needed information. I want to encourage anyone who's listening, if they have any questions, go to your bank, visit the folks over at Enterprise Bank, stop in and see Allison. You can certainly come and see me if you have any questions or you see something that just doesn't feel right. Reach out and get a second opinion or get some feedback from other folks. It's a great way to just make sure that you're protecting your assets. We all work really hard for that. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sarah, for having us.
Really appreciate your time. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop our recording and then, there we go. Let's see, let's stop here.